Hello, everybody. Another news clipping. This time it's about the federal government is still shut down. Here's what that means across the country. And again, welcome to my channel, Ronald the Peculiar One. I'll also show you where to get free PC and mobile games every week. Check that out if you like. I also have much content on my channel. If something you don't like, maybe there's something that you do like. and and real quick, anybody who's under 1,000 subscribers that's on YouTube, if you happen to check a channel out that's under 1,000 subscribers, please subscribe, hit the all button, at least watch one of their videos. Even if you have to use the subtitles, if they have subtitles, please watch at least one full video of their channel to help them out, help them grow. Remember, all this content you get on YouTube is completely free. Please have a heart and help us all out, grow our channels. All right. I do this a couple times a week. It varies, like one maybe every 3 or so days. Just depends on my mood and the time that I have to do it. I'm going to read some of it. I'm going to scroll through the entire thing at first, and you can pause it, rewind, fast forward. If you don't want to hear me read it, I'm going to do my best not to read the entire article, but I'm going to give you my take, my opinion. Remember, this is just my take, my opinion, my view. You can take it or you can leave it. All right. I'm going to scroll through it real quick, and then I'll go back to the top and I will read some of it and give you my opinion. And you can pause it because you're going to have to on some of it. Just give a couple seconds. I didn't read all this or anything. I just picked it off the internet. It's so that you don't have to hear me if you don't want to. And they're little sections, so it won't be so bad. Instead of it being one long headline, it's in sections. I'm going to start doing it this way so that if you don't want to hear me, you don't have to. You can just pause it on the section you want to read. Or you can look it up. Just look up government shutdown, or why is the government shut down? And it'll give you a bunch of articles to choose from and different sites to go through. But I am going to read some of it. But I just want you to be able to read all of it, just in case you don't want to look it up. And you can hear my take on it. It's going to take a couple minutes to do this. And you can pause it. You're going to have to if you want to read this. So I'm slowly doing it. Give you a chance to pause it. Another section here. This is the United States right now. Is happening because both sides don't want to agree to the funding and everything for the next year. I think it's kind of, in my opinion, it's kind of iffy because they do this every year. Sometimes they do it a couple times a year, and it's just enough already with it. Just take the money, fund everything, and be done. Depending on what they're funding it for. But I'm just doing sections, and then I'm going to go back up and I'm going to start talking about it more. And then I'll run through it real quick. Give you my take on it. That way I don't have to read the entire thing. That way it'll slow the video or keep the video down a little bit more so it isn't as long. This is quite a paper here of stuff, so I'm just going to kind of just run through it. Gives you just long enough to pause it if you like to and read it yourself, or you can just look it up. I like that it's in sections. Some of the sections are small enough so I can put the entire part of it on the screen. Okay, so this is telling about each state, what's going on with each state here. This might be important. I'll go through all this too. States, each state here. Just for a few seconds, because I got to get through this video so I can start talking about everything. Just long enough so you can pause it. Yeah, it's talking about a lot of states. And I'll go through it real quick. I've already lost a few minutes just doing this scrolling part. Okay, I think that's it. Yep, I think that's it. All right, let's go all the way back up, and I'll give you my take as I read some of it. And again, if I skip some of it, it's because I want to keep the video as short as possible, but I wanted to share the entire paper here. This is on NPR, and that's of today, October 12th. Flight delays. Okay, it says government shutdown is now more than a week and a half old with no end in sight. Trump administration says substantial layoffs of federal workers have begun. Slash the size of the government during the shutdown. The Senate has failed repeatedly to agree on new spending bills for both sides, the Democrats and Republicans. Basically is what that says. Why did the federal government shut down? The partisan argument over it, and when lawmakers need to act to extend subsidies for the Affordable Care Act, marketplaces led to the current shutdown. Remember who owns the marketplace? That would be BlackRock and those other organizations. They own, well, every stock there is out there. Anybody who's exchanging anything on the marketplace, BlackRock owns a piece of it. 24 million people who don't have insurance through their jobs or public programs like Medicaid use the system to buy health plans. Okay, this if you watch my news clippings, I'd give you my opinion, my take. You'll find out that the entire thing's rigged. Everything about what you think how things work, you'd be wrong, because they basically think they own us. They can jack the prices up as much as they like, and you got no say in it. Voting doesn't matter. Oversight doesn't matter. Even if they win voting in a town or a city to not do this or whatever, they still buy their way in. Prominent Republicans lawmakers have claimed the Democrats are looking to provide tax dollars to help pay for the health care of undocumented immigrants. Here we go. This is not true. This is what it says. Democrats in the Senate refused to vote for the Republican short-term funding bill that passed the House but did not include an extension of the health care tax credits. Democrats are also hoping to repeal cuts to the health care programs that were put in place as part of the GOP spending and tax bill that passed over the summer. Now, I want to say something about this healthcare thing. Healthcare should be completely free. And guess who owns all the hospitals and all the medical stuff? You got it right. Rich people. And not just the average person like you or me that somehow got rich. I'm talking the ones that are responsible to control everything. They're all in it together, people. They're all in it together. That's why you don't get good medical care. It has nothing to do with which program you're on. It's pick and choose. I call it pick and choose. They pick and choose their favorites. They help people when they pick and choose them to get ahead, and the rest don't. It says, what about the WIC and SNAP benefits? Oh, got to read this. Among the first to feel the pinch during the shutdown could be the 7 million mothers and young children who rely on the supplemental nutrition programs for women, infants, children. We have a short runway here before we would reach a real crisis in program operations. She calculates that runway at about 2 weeks. So we're almost to 2 weeks. Lucia Graves, she is counting on the benefits to help feed her family, especially as the cost of groceries is on the rise. And this is all from data centers and all that other stuff that Trump and all the rich people make business behind the scenes, of course. They could care less about us, people. It's all about filling their bank accounts and keeping the deals so they can stay in the in and not the out. We all are in the out, not in the in. But continued access if there's a prolonged shutdown will likely depend on states filling the gap if their budgets allow. Remember, the governments sponsor all the programs. They basically control everything, people, everything. But it's not the government, it's who runs the government behind the scenes. Like BlackRock, secret organizations, private contracts, the deals they make with other business partners around the world. As I call the people behind the scenes family they take their relatives, their family members, and they put them in every sections of the governments and businesses around the world to control them all. That would be from oil companies to the government of the United States, the government of Britain, the government of every country in the world. They have family in it. Basically runs it. They just changed their last name. Beyond WIC, the country's WIC. That's that movie, WIC. John Wick. Beyond WIC, the country's much larger food aid program, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, previously known as food stamps, is in better shape money-wise. That's because of the debit-like cards people use to buy food are loaded a month in advance, so benefits will continue for October, but they are, I'm going to say SNAP and that program with food stamps is rigged as well. People that should get at least a certain amount of money, but they keep cutting the food stamps for certain people that need it. Even this has control in the background. They could care less about those people as well. Some people that works in these sectors might actually have a heart because they understand, but they still have to follow what's on the computer screen, or they get fired, or they don't get a bonus, or they don't get a raise. They stick their nose in each individual client's business, or person business that is on SNAP or food stamps, and they start to get a power trip, but they're looking at a computer screen thinking they know everything about that person, and they start passing judgment. Oh, well, you should have a job like me. You should be getting 25 an hour instead of minimum wage. They say they pass judgment on people, and so when people call to get an update that are on food stamps, they pass judgment on them. A lot of the people that work behind that screen that sit on their butts are prejudiced against the person. Well, I have a job. I'm sitting on the computer doing this. You have no excuse. You shouldn't be on food stamps now. It's supposed to be temporary. They don't know. They don't know or understand their situation. This is my opinion and take, of course. And a lot of the people that work behind those screens, obviously, they're getting paid to be sitting behind that screen, so they pass judgment on whatever the screen says. They start passing judgment. Look at Social Security. They do the same thing. It's none of their business. It's none of their business who's on that screen. Just that they're doing the basics, that they're supposed to call in about something, which is check in, which I think is wrong. That they always have to have current information. If you have an extra dollar in your bank account, well, they can shut down your food stamps. They can shut down your Social Security. It's none of their business. The employees, the workers behind that screen have no rights to pass judgment on somebody when they call in. And then they start getting an attitude. People are defending themselves and people don't have to explain themselves why they're on it. The fact that they're on it, it's none of the employee's business what they see on that screen or what they do not see on that screen to pass judgment by pushing a button to make it harder on them. Oh, they didn't call in when they did. Oh, they didn't give me the information. They were being difficult. And so they cancel their food stamps or they reduce them. Oh, I know clear as day. This is awful. It's awful how they're supposed to help their people, not pass judgment on them. All right, let's move on. There's another. The USPS, or United States Postal Service, is open for business as usual. Of course they are. U.S. Postal Service operations will not be interrupted in the event of a government shutdown, according to a statement that they said. The Postal Service is primarily self-funded. It doesn't depend on the appropriations process to continue running as usual. The IRS furloughs nearly half its staff. IRS can go away. We don't need it. We never did. This was just another way of funding the elites, or those ones behind the scene that own everything. Or they think they do. They're getting away with it, of course, for now. But they really believe, they think they own all the land, the entire world, and they own their section of land in the entire world. When the fact is, they don't own anything. It's supposed to belong to all of us. God created this earth for all of us, not for a small handful of people. All right, slightly more than half of the IRS, approximately 74,000 workers remain on the job. Ugh. You can reduce that more. And will continue to work for the foreseeable future, according to a contingency plan from the Treasury Department. The plan says nearly all of those employees who continue to work more than 39,800 will be paid using sources other than an annual appropriations, which are on hold during the shutdown. Tasks will include completing and testing systems to handle next year's tax filing. So in other words, they're basically saying, so we can take your money that we print, and we'll take your money back. So you can't have it. And maintain computers to prevent the loss of data. If If you ask me, they can take that 39,800 or that 74,000 and they can fire every single one of them. That's my opinion. Get rid of the IRS. It's nothing but a front for money laundering for the elite or the ones that think they own everything. This is my opinion and take. I'm just opening your mind, people, if you're watching this. Teachers in schools won't be directly impacted, but federal education functions might. 87% of the Department of Education have been temporarily furloughed, as detailed in agency shutdown contingency plans. And in addition, many departments of education employees who were furloughed, however you want to pronounce it, were surprised to see a message blaming Democrats for the shutdown inserted into their out of office replies. A federal workers union is now suing the Trump administration for inserting the language into employees' out of office email messages. And you can read that. We're moving on. And this here, what this guy's doing, it says, Greg Freeman, a National Park Service ranger, closed the entrance gate due to the government shutdown at the Everglades National Park, Shark Valley, on October 1st in Florida. This is in Florida, people. Valley remains open to visitors. Shark Valley stays open. Visitors who park outside the entrance gate and walk in. Well, they'll lock your butt in if when they close those gates. They'll lock you in. They don't even look for you. They're stuck. National parks are a mixed bag. Across the country, National Park Services have brought their operations to a halt. As Sarah Wright, Carly Severn reported, a contingency plan for the MPS says that the park roads, lookouts, and trails will generally remain as accessible to visitors for the duration of the shutdown, but other services such as regular road and trail conditions updates would not be provided. Concerns have also been raised about the safety and responsibility of keeping parks open without having a robust number of employees available to conduct critical services. Well, that goes with the homelessness. They won't even let you stay in the parks. They won't let you do anything anymore. It's illegal to be homeless. It's illegal not to have money. This government has went to the potty. You can flush it, people. You can flush it. Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security benefits will continue. Social Security, the employees behind the screen, most of them are awful, pass judgment on you. Not all, but most don't care. They'll look at a screen and then they'll expect you to obey when it's none of their business. They're supposed to just do the basic minimum things, and if there's a problem, that's what the court's for. Social Security people behind the screen and not supposed to tell you whether you're going to get your benefits or not, and push a button to ruin it for you. Remember that. But they do it anyway. That's my opinion. I see it. I've seen that from people. Okay, let's go to it. Social Security, VA, and other benefits will continue, but on Friday, employees at Social Security field offices said the government shutdown has left them unable to carry out an important service for some recipients. As NPR's Ashley Lopez reports, workers say they are unable to provide benefits, verification letters to people calling in to request them. Now, this verification letters, Oh, they send those at the very last minute. Very last minute. The time you get them to respond, you can't even contact these people. You can't even contact them. You stay on the phone for hours. For what? Go to the website. But the website doesn't work. These office letters act as a sort of income verification and are therefore key to obtaining aid like housing assistance, fuel assistance, and help from nonprofits. Yeah, well, I got news for you again. They always send those letters when they're about to expire. At the time you get them, they say, oh, you have so many days to respond, call. And guess what? You can't even get a hold of them. So that's a crummy service. As NPR's Scott Harsley reports, some loafers, employees at the Labor Department are coming back to work in order to complete the September inflation report. Inflation, what a lie that is. Which is a key ingredient used to calculate the cost of living adjustment that Social Security recipients will receive next year. And yeah, all right. Oh, I can go on about this stuff. I have a little experience, not that much, but I have a little experience of how awful these service providers are, how the employees are behind those desks, how the system is broken. And if you have any involvement in these situations, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm right about it. Perhaps the biggest impact will be felt by federal workers, active duty military service members who will not receive a paycheck during the government shutdown. President Trump on Saturday said he had identified funds to make sure the active military does not miss its October 15 paycheck, but absent a breakthrough in Congress, and remains unclear how the military would be paid. Well, they should all be paid. If they did their job, they should be paid. All those rich people can go without money to take it from their bank accounts, is my opinion. The ones that say who gets paid and who doesn't get paid tells you they're in control of you, me, everybody. And there ain't nothing you can do about it. Not a darn thing. Unless you leave and open up a new country somewhere else. It says Congress Budget Office estimates last week that roughly 750,000 federal employees would be furloughed each day of the shutdown. There's wildfire. Another emergency response personnel, for example, will continue to work, but in many cases without pay. That's baloney. As you know, during the lead up to the shutdown, the White House also threatened mass layoffs. Federal employees should the government shut down on Friday, the administration began to make good on those threats. An estimated 4,200 employees across these 7 agencies began receiving reduction in the force notices. Because the government shut down close to the end of the pay period, most federal employees won't miss their first full paycheck until later this month. I'm going to skip some of this stuff. Trump appears to publicly back a draft White House memo that includes an argument for denying workers pay, despite 2019 law intended to ensure federal employees are compensated after a shutdown. When pressed on legality of such a move, Trump said, "What the law says is correct, and I follow the law." Let's go with the ICE now. I'm kind of skipping through. That's why I showed it in the beginning of the video, because I'm going to have to skip some of this. ICE. Immigration cases and enforcement are proceeding as usual. During the government shutdown, of course they are. Customer inspections, immigration law enforcement are considered essential functions that will continue during any lapse in appropriations, though workers may not get paid until the shutdown is over. If you're flying soon, air traffic controllers and most transportation security administration employees are considered essential workers and have to stay on the job. But they are feeling the impact, the travelers are, as air traffic controllers staffing shortages, disputes, disrupt flights. In a statement, Secretary Duffy said there have been increased staffing shortages, traffic into some airports to ensure safe operations. Air traffic controllers helped to end the last government shutdown, could help end this one as well. Slight increase in sick leave and 2 facilities of the East Coast through some major airports into chaos. Okay, here we go. Alaska shutdown stuff. It says U.S. Transportation Department says it has secured funding to continue essential air services, subsidizing routes to 65 Alaska communities and more. Not the 100 communities nationwide. About 15,000 federal employees live in Alaska, one of the highest percentages of federal employees when compared to the other states. Arizona said last week she would not spend state funds to keep Grand Canyon National Park open should the government shut down. She's probably going to keep that. Put it in her wallet. Social services. Grand Canyon Village are gearing up to support non-essential employees at Grand Canyon National Park, including food pantry resources. The shutdown would also not affect federal relief money for communities Miami Globe area after torrential monsoon rains and flooding. California, the shutdown on the federal government has brought the full of partial closure of many national park services. Muir Woods is fully closed. Alcatraz Island is slated to stay open. And other sites like Point Reyes, National Seashore, Fort Point, partial closures, parking lots blocked or bathrooms locked. Bathrooms locked. Let's talk about bathrooms. Public bathrooms are being locked all over the country, so the homeless can't use them. That's your citizens, people. That's your citizens being locked out of public bathrooms and clean running water that we all supposed to be used because it's been taxpayers have already paid it those services, but they're shutting them down. So that's right, you, me, anybody can't use them. Colorado sites, lands, Colorado operated by the National Park Service are open, but some services may be limited or unavailable, according to the agency. In Colorado, federal government employs thousands of workers at climate or land management agencies. News that the agency is operating under its shutdown plan. Furlough thousands of employees. Colorado Public Radio. Unemployment claims from Colorado federal workers are surging amid the U.S. government shutdown. A Colorado-based microbiologist, which is Stephanie Rogers with the Food and Drug Administration, told CPR she filed for unemployment the day after the shutdown started. At least she got a hold of them. Connecticut will continue federal funding food assistance programs for state residents during the government shutdown. Governor Led said on Wednesday, but he said the state's reserve money for SNAP and the food assistance program for low-income families will run out by the end of the month. Oh, maybe it's part of the plan, just like considering your citizens that are homeless, illegals, but got all these immigrants in this country. giving them everything. But the citizens as homelessness. So maybe this is part of the plan right here. Attack the food stamp stuff now. Makes sense. Let's get the American people that are poor out of this country. That's basically what all these laws are doing to all of us. And it's sad. It's sad. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Connecticut has a $2.5 billion budget surplus this year. It's second largest in history, advocates are asking. Consider using it to help offset the federal shortfall. Is it even there? Is $2.5 billion really there? Or is it gone? Did they give the money to some mystery corporation behind the scenes? Where'd this money go? Oh, well, it was used for this, but we have no idea where it went. Georgia, for federal workers living paycheck by paycheck. Georgia, basically, I want to say, has really got a lot of data centers everywhere. Running up the bills, running up the electricity for everybody. All the public has to pay for it. One option to get through being furloughed could be filing for unemployment insurance. The employees will have to pay the benefits back once the shutdown ends and they receive back pay, but the benefits can help them make ends meet. Oh, get them in debt. Excuse me. Get them in debt, people. Get them in debt, and then they got to pay it back. Shouldn't have to pay nothing back. Georgia farmers could also face delays. Block grant funding, commodity data they rely on during the time-sensitive seasons of planting, harvesting. Kansas farmers face several uncertainties, as payment from some federal programs are in limbo, and they don't care. In addition, nearly half of the U.S. Department of the Agriculture employees will be furloughed. Temporary misplaced. Many officers will be closed. Offices. Not officers. Offices. During the last two shutdowns, the SUDA did not publish its monthly crop reports. This comes at an inconvenience time, and the Midwest farmers are in harvest soon. Louisiana. The National Food Insurance Program, or NFIP, is managed by FEMA. FEMA sucks. Don't we all agree? They don't help as much as you think they do. And provides food insurance or flood insurance to those who don't have a private option. Yeah, okay. It has grown in size. Look at Carolinas, people. FEMA didn't do anything. It has grown in size as most homeowners insurance policies across the U.S. have dropped flood insurance entirely. It covers nearly 500,000 Louisiana policyholders with expiring contracts. Could lose coverage and funds. Well, get the insurance involved, so when you pay in, they don't. You pay into them, but they do not pay out to you, people. $30 billion due to the shutdown. Illinois, 3 workers who spoke with Chicago Sun-Times said they haven't been furloughed, but they dealt with uncertainties and fragmented coordination since the federal government shut down October 1st on top of the year. On purpose, people. The shutdown's on purpose. Missouri. I think anyone who shuts the government down should be fired. All of them. All the congressmen, everybody who doesn't do their job should be canned. We don't need them. If they ain't going to help the people, then why should we help them? Families enrolled in the Missouri WIC program, which provides supplemental food, nutrition, education, and support to low-income women and children, will not be immediately impacted by this shutdown. The Gateway Arch, an old courthouse in downtown St. Louis, are temporarily closed, with National Park Services work largely on hold. New Hampshire. There are more than 5,000 civilian federal employees in New Hampshire at the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard in Manchester. VA Medical Center, the White Mountain National Forest, and the Berlin Federal Prison, the passport processing centers, and peace and at the other federal agencies. How the shutdown might affect them isn't entirely clear. The White House might. There's a lot of stuff here, people. The White Mountain National Forest will remain open. Say early staff cuts are hampering critical activities. Firefighting, disaster response activity will also continue. Veteran appropriator who has helped broker past bipartisan deals. Work behind the scenes with senators. Okay. Jibber jabber. North Carolina, after the federal government shut down, cut staffing and services at Great Smoky Mountain National Park, local governments and nonprofits in the region stepped up to foot the bill to keep the parks open during the peak fall season. The funds should keep the park open through October 19. Local governments, huh? Nonprofits. North Dakota. The state-owned Bank of North Dakota is partnering with local banks, credit unions, to provide short-term, low-interest loans to federal government employees. These are obviously they're taking advantage of this. Why would anybody get a loan? Because it's a debt. It's a debt, people. Now, if they're going to give the money free to these people, and then the banks get the money back from the government, that would be different. But this ain't helping anybody. Getting a loan is not helpful to people that are desperate. They should just give them what they need free of charge. Again, it just shows that they don't care about their people. All they care about is money, 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 money. And there's some more money for you. Okay, we're in Oregon now. The federal government program used to subsidize commercial flights in Pendleton got a last-minute reprieve from grinding to a halt due to the partial government shutdown. But as of Wednesday, immediate answers on how that might affect Eastern Oregon's only commercial airport are in short supply. People aren't communicating with each other. That's the problem with the government. They don't communicate with each other. Social Security don't talk to the DMV. The DMV don't talk to Social Security. Or the IRS, but they do get information from you that they need from you, but they don't communicate to get the rest of it. I remember when they were all together. You could go to any one of those branches and they handled the majority of everything. You can go to the courthouse, they handled everything. So, airport issues there. Pennsylvania. Tens of thousands of Pennsylvania-based federal workers furloughed during the government shutdown may be eligible for unemployment compensation through the State Department and Labor and Industry if you can get a hold of them. I repeat, if you can get a hold of them. Tennessee, after the federal government shutdown, cut staffing and services of Great Smoky Mountain National Park, local governments and nonprofit in the region stepped up to foot the bill during the peak fall season. The funds should keep the park open, though, until the 19th. October 7th, the FAA notified local officials in Nashville that the flights in and out of Nashville International Airport would be reduced due to a shortage of air traffic controllers during the government shutdown. So what are they doing right now during this government shutdown? They're obviously doing something secretive and something very naughty that they don't want the public to know about. When these shutdowns happen, you know something's up behind the scenes. U.S. customers in Texas here and Border Protection employees who impact cargo, 32 other official ports, are among the essential federal workers who just remain on the job unpaid. The longer the shutdown lasts, the greater the risk of cargo backups at these Texas ports due to the unpaid employees calling in sick. They're looking for another job. They're not going to put up with that. Would you? Would you work somewhere that you can't stand? Get up early, show up 15 minutes early and dare yourself to go in every day? Why am I doing it? And you say to yourself, what am I doing this job for? What am I doing this job for? And you smack yourself on the cheeks and say, I gotta go. I gotta go in. Gotta go in. Gotta do it. Gotta do it. But you're not getting paid for it? Yeah, you're not gonna stay at that job. The Employee Security Department says 80,000 federal workers in Washington state may qualify for unemployment benefits if you can get a hold of them. I repeat, if you can get a hold of them. I might have to stay on the phone for hours, maybe even half a day, and then they hang up on you. On October 3rd, government this is in Wyoming. Mark Gordon said Wyoming will cover gaps in funding to federally funded state employees who are in the state budget in short term. Isn't that where they have a lot of nuclear missile silos, Wyoming? All right. There we go, everybody. I know it's long. It's almost an hour long. This was a huge paper. I did best I can to cut through corners and skip through some of it. So if you stuck around, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And that's why I put in the beginning to scroll through it for you. So you can just pause, fast forward, rewind, and watch and read it yourself, or you can look it up. This is the NPR network. And just look up federal government shutdown or why the federal government shut down, and you'll have plenty of news articles to look through. Thank you so much for watching. And I gave you my opinion, my take, my review. Take it or leave it. It's my opinion, my take, and I just share what I know. I fill in the blanks myself. You want the facts? Look them up. Doesn't mean that all of the things you see on the internet are facts. But you can get enough information to connect the dots and put the puzzle together, people. All right, thank you so much for watching. And moving on to the next video. Make sure you subscribe to anyone who's under 1,000 subscribers. Take care, everybody.